What's up everyone, welcome back to a new video. Today, YehBoi Burnout car is back. We're doing some more work on it, although it looks a lot different to the last time it was featured on the channel. Anyone that follows the car's Facebook page will know that it's got a whole new look now, but time to get it in the shed and start our new transformation of this car. Get it to the next iteration. As you can see, it's frickin' Breeze. What a color. The Breeze YehBoi Burnout car. So you can see that our new pipes lasted literally one skid. He was actually at Rocky Nat skidding with Jake Myers in the car and tipped the wall. As you can see, didn't actually hit it hard enough to get the back door or anything, but did give the pipes a bit of a serving. So while it's here, we do have to obviously fix that, make new rear pipes for it. Hopefully we get them in the right spot, because unfortunately we don't have his bumper. So hopefully they go in the right spot. And anyway, the biggest thing that it's getting is a turbo 400 gearbox. So we've got to go pick it up. We'll go through that when it gets here. There's a few other things we've got to fix as well. He had a few issues with the throttle linkage. And because when we put this throttle cable bracket on it last time to suit this setup, it made the pedal like a lot shorter. So full throttle was about halfway down on the pedal inside. So we made a bit of just like a throttle stop that would stop him just from mashing the throttle and just, you know, trying to pull the cable end off the linkage. And apparently they've had some issues with that since it was put in as well. But, you know, admittedly it was done in a bit of a rush, that one. So a bit of that we have to revisit. With the new gearbox goes a new big transmission cooler and a few other things to try and basically just keep this thing nice and safe and happy skidding for many, many, many sets to come over the years. So the little 4L60 that we sold to Rowan pretty cheap after the last episode you watched, managed to last him, you know, Rocky Nats and a few other events as well, and it's still going strong. We had intended to actually, now that it has a gearbox with third gear, we were going to chuck it on the dyno and do a before run with the new manifold setup and third gear in the 4L60, just have a bit of a back-to-back. But the condition of the rear pipes is pretty questionable and we're just too freaking busy at the moment. There's always stuff on the dyno. It's a lot of downtime and work to actually get this thing on just for a pre-run when we've got so much happening. So we're just gonna leave it, put the T400 in and change what we've got to change and then run it back up on the dyno. The other thing that's happening with this car while it's here is we're switching to E85 from 98. So fair bit of new stuff going on.
All right, out with the Puss 4L60.
Probably should give it a lot more credit than that. It's amazing.
Yeah, this one actually did all right.
Yeah, this and the last one. He did like something ridiculous amount of sets on the last one. It's amazing that both of these boxes lasted the way they did, being that they are 4L60s. But anyway, out with that. Bit of a shame. I do really like this converter, but it's just probably a bit too big for me to want to put in any street car. But it is quite a good converter. But anyway, he can take that back and I'm sure I'll find something else to put it in.
And we got here our fresh Craig's Automatics built 1000 horsepower turbo 400 and converter. So new converter,
obviously to suit a turbo 400 this time. And over in this corner, in amongst all this crap somewhere buried, we've got everything else we need to convert the car except for a tail shaft. So that's the real time limit at the moment. We've got to get this gearbox in, get everything in there, get a measurement, try and get a tail shaft ordered, and see how we can sweeten the deal to try and get this tail shaft made within a week.
But hey, we'll do what we can. All right, shiny new, dirty and old, shiny and new, dirty and old. I'll take the green one.
Ready?
Straight out of the box, we've got our RTS SFI rated flex plate, which is for a conversion of LS T400. They also include this little locator doodle, because typical turbo 400 converters, the snout on them that goes into that's meant to go into the receiver on the crank is actually quite a bit smaller
to suit a Chev. So normally you'd have to put this on a regular converter, which would then go, you know, into the back of the crank and receive the crank, and it's just a nice little spacer. But because Craig's Automatics had this one built and they knew what they were getting it built for, looking at this, we're pretty sure that they've had this converter built to suit this application and that we shouldn't need this. But regardless, we've got the flex plate there, we've got a new flex plate, we've also got all ARP hardware, ARP flex plate bolts, ARP converter bolts to go in this thing. To get this new gearbox and converter in there. Yeehaw. So Turbo 400 cases also normally have big wings that come out on these corners, and in a Commodore, they're a real pain in the ass because they clash with the pipes, and there's already hardly any room for pipes in a Commodore. But Craig's was nice enough to remove these for us. Obviously, we told them that it was going into a Commodore, so they knew the deal, and these wings are gone. So, nice skinny narrow box to go straight in there. Yeehaw. So as well as our flex plate ARP flywheel bolts, we're also changing the shifter. Obviously, need to change shifter for a Turbo 400. So we've got a new blanking plate to go over the shifter hole, and you use this to mount the new shifter on the Turbo 400 because they are a cable operated shifter. So then you have a cable instead of the stock linkage. So Dusty's in the car getting the stock shifter out now. This is the shifter we've ended up with. It's the bang shift. We went for the pistol grip, but in the ratchet type. So we didn't go the gated one. When he dropped the car off, we went through because we've got a gated one in the Cruiser, and we've also got a ratchet shifter as well. He liked the ratchet type better, but he likes the pistol grip. So that's what we've done. So as well as that, we've got our Turbo 400 cross member and gearbox mount from Tough Mounts. We've got a trans temp gauge, which we will be putting the sender into the pan on the gearbox so that we get a nice accurate reading of what the trans temp actually is. Because obviously 1,000 horsepower built Turbo 400 behind, you know, a 400 horsepower burnout car, 500 horsepower burnout car. Nothing strenuous should ever really kill this thing. The only way is ever probably going to kill this box in this application is by getting it too hot. So new PWR cooler, like I said, and that trans temp gauge so that you can keep an eye on it and always be looking at it. So as well as that, we're also putting one of the little Defi all-in-one gauge displays like we put in this Patrol, the same one we run in the Cruiser, just to keep an eye on everything else, oil pressure and everything else. So that's going in the car as well. So a fair few little upgrades. And yeah, like I said, our E85 and retune, see how it goes. We don't expect it to make any more power on the E85. One, because the dynamic compression of this motor is too low for E85 to really make that much difference anyway. But two, because obviously the Turbo 400 is going to suck or tax a lot more power than the 4L60 did. So sort of expecting a fair bit lower power reading out of this conversion, but still going to skid the same. Good converter, and yeah, should be dead reliable from here on out as far as the gearbox and stuff goes. So that is a really nice shifter for the money.
Like I said, I do like the backlighting part that makes them a lot more street legal.
And I'm pretty sure they do sell button handle covers for them as well, for if you want a trans brake or whatever else you got. Stage and nitrous window switch or whatever. Whatever you got.
Trans brake! Sitting
Brake!
This one reverse pattern.
No, this one's forward pattern.
Forward pattern, ratchet shifter, happy days. Righto, boys and girls, been a bit of a mission. Your boy Rowan here is booked in or entered for Fridays tomorrow. It's now 20 to 4 on Thursday afternoon, and his gearbox mount only just showed up because they sent us the wrong mount. I had to send it back and they sent us the right one, but it's only just arrived. So we're just putting the last of the E85 in. We've got new injectors, T400's in, full of oil, everything's in here. So we'll get it onto the rollers and give this gearbox a bit of a run in, a bit of a heat cycle, and yeah, give this thing a tune up and it can be ready to go. Righto guys, so we are sorted, finished with YehBoi Burnout car. Once again, very surprising result, honestly. So we made 380 last time, just cracked 380, and we knew that the manifold would pick us up a fair bit up top. We figured that the E85 with this camshaft would, you know, this cam is bleeding off too much dynamic compression, and because of the valve event, there's no way that it could have the heads skimmed to bump compression up at all, because it would have piston to valve issues. So we know that the heads are pretty much stock and this cam is bleeding off a lot of dynamic compression, so we figured the E85 wouldn't really get us anything. We just thought the E85 might allow it to run a bit cooler, might help in that respect. But we weren't expecting the E85 to make a lot of change as far as the actual final power figure goes to this thing. And being that the T400 should by all means be a lot more taxing and a lot more driveline loss versus the 4L60, we figured we'd be pretty happy to end up back at our 380, honestly, after doing all this, going to the E85 and putting the T400 in. But as you can see here, we've actually picked up quite a bit. So we've gone from 380 was our last one, and we're up here at 415 now, which is quite a significant increase, honestly, for what's happened here. So a lot of this up top power increase, I'm gonna say, would have to be coming from that manifold. And but you know, even the fact that through the Turbo 400 we're making now over 400 horsepower at the wheels is, yeah, that's quite surprising. That being said, it's a lot colder today than it was when we did the 380 run last year. And don't mind the torque figures. We had a bit of a weird thing with the dyno, and the RPM was all over the place. We've got it set on road speed at the moment, but that's why the torque's out, just because it reckoned that the thing was doing 9,000 RPM, which it definitely wasn't. So anyway, yeah, interesting result that we actually made more power with this thing. So 415 horsepower at the wheels. Yeehaw. Awesome result. Happy days. Time for the boys to come pick it up and go and smash some tires. So you'll see the thing around. Happy days. Hopefully this box gives them years of trouble-free burnouts in this thing and they can have a good time. So cheers for tuning in to another episode, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out. See you. Bye.